Robyn, Valerie, welcome to the Longevity Health Initiative. I'm so glad you could join us. Before we dive into specifics, could you share with us the history of how Blanca's house came to be, what inspired its founding, and how it has evolved over the years?
It started with a very dear friend of ours, who's actually my husband's best friend. They were out for the evening and discussed that they wanted to help people abroad. They would have loved to have done it here, but unfortunately, with malpractice insurance, we couldn't get around it. So he always wanted to do mission work and help impoverished areas. So we started going with ideas, and we started a not for profit. He and I got together a board and became a 501(c)(3) charity. We started in my house here in Syosset, Long Island, and it just grew and blossomed from there. We named it in his mom's memory, who was Blanca Babano. So we named it Blanca's House because when he was a child growing up, he grew up in a very poor community. So as poor as they were, Mom always had rice, beans, chicken for the local community and a warm bed if somebody needed. So due to his charity, he always wanted to give back. And I said I would help him. And the joke was we were going to do one mission a year. And if you can do the math, we're now pushing around 70 missions in less than 17 years. So we definitely are doing more than one mission a year. And if it wasn't for COVID, we probably would have been pushing 100 missions by now.
I joined 6 months after we were founded as a nonprofit, sitting in Robyn's living room and opening my mouth and saying, hey, I can speak Spanish. Yes, I know how to write grants, and I do all the communication. I did all of the communication from when I was an elementary principal. So it's like, okay, you're hired, which was a joke. Yeah, I was hired as the third volunteer.
What is this person's name that you're speaking of?
Gallo Burbano.
Vano.
Ah, okay.
Gallo was the founder, and Blanca was his mom, who has now been deceased. So in her memory, we have named the foundation, and all of what Gallo has learned was from his childhood of giving back. So he has now continued in Mom's memory, and we definitely have her spirit all the time pushing us because none of us get paid, and it's all out of all the goodness of our hearts. It's a 100% humanitarian effort.
Why do you believe that these community programs, like the one that you created with Blanca's House, is so vital to our society? What makes these initiatives indispensable to the health and well-being of both individuals and communities?
There are so many underserved and marginalized communities, not only in Ecuador, where we provide most of our services, but even here in the United States. The people that we work with at our hospital and our clinic are those people who do not have government insurance in Ecuador. They don't have private insurance. And they basically rely on us when we're there during our missions because all of the services that we provide, healthcare, medical services, consultations, are no charge to the people that come to the clinic when we're there. They're receiving life-saving surgery. We have had people who cannot see have cataract surgery, and they can see for the first time in years and years and years. We've seen medical issues that you would never see here in the United States because they have no access to up-to-date medical care. For example, we also work in a small town called Pedro Carbo, and we provide medical outreach clinics there. And in 2.5 days, we can see up to 250 patients.
Oh,
and this
my.
little town has a very small clinic with no specialists. There's no hospital. There's no ambulance service. So the only way they can receive any sort of medical attention is if they take the bus to Guayaquil, which is the closest big city. Even in emergencies, they have to be there and take themselves to receive the services, like I said, because there's maybe a bus and if you have a car, but no ambulance services, nothing that will get them to the appropriate place to treat their disorders. I mean, we have seen, oh my gosh, gallbladders with 100 or more gallstones and people in a lot of pain. We have seen people walking or barely walking until they receive a knee replacement by one of our doctors. And so the need is great, not only medically, but just with the basic needs as well. And I have a story that I'd like to share. On one mission, I came across two absolutely lovely, lovely ladies, and flip-flops are a luxury in Ecuador. And one had worn it out to the ground so that the ball of her foot was touching the ground and couldn't afford another pair of flip-flops. A child that we saw had a pair, but the backs of it were cut off so it would fit the child. So something as special as flip-flops so that they can walk comfortably is an important issue along with the medical concerns. You don't realize that until you actually see how appreciative everyone we give things to, like flip-flops, or service them medically, how their life is changed.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't even picture it. So when you go on these missions, I'm starting to understand how impactful they are. Can you share a little bit about what happens on the missions? And you've also told me about some of the surgeries you do, but can you get a little bit more involved in why it's so vital to the communities that you treat?
One of the things over the years that we have begun to use is Zoom. So our teams are only there for 2.5 to 3 days. So we need to be as considerate of the time factor that we will be there helping others. So now we're using Zoom to triage potential patients with the doctors in Ecuador and the doctors in the United States. So we'll spend maybe 1.5 to 2 days looking at all of the patients that have come requesting the surgery and see if it's a possibility, if it's going to be a long surgery, a shorter surgery, or if we can't do the surgery at all because there won't be the follow-up factor with a specialty that we don't have. So we've become much more efficient. We've become much more widespread in terms of the specialties that we can provide. And I mean, those include ophthalmology, orthopedics, knee replacements, cleft palates, cleft lips, what we call syndactyly or didactyly, children typically that have more extra fingers or fingers that are fused together. Burns, a lot of the burns that we see are children because of the poor cooking conditions in so many of the homes of the people that we care for. What am I leaving? General surgery, hernias and gallbladders. We've done vascular surgery. We're going to have GI surgery coming up in February with endoscopies and colonoscopies. So that's what's unique about us. We don't provide services in one medical area. We provide services across the board where we know that the patients are going to receive follow-up once we leave by the doctors who are in Ecuador. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Robyn.
No, basically that was what Valerie was saying. Well, we've come a long way with the Zoom because in the past, prior to COVID, we used to travel to multiple countries. And unfortunately, since COVID, and because of less and less people that can work with us for different reasons and logistics, we have found that we go to our own clinic because when we used to go to other hospitals in other countries, we would literally have to screen 4, 5, 600 people would be in the lobby waiting for us. They would travel 2 and 3 days. MPO means no food, no water. And they would travel like this, just praying that they were going to get operated on that day or the next. And it just got to the point that the doctors spend half their time screening these patients, and the majority could never be seen. And it was just torture to send home 3, 4, 500 people and children and elderly that we couldn't help. So now we've streamlined it. And also, again, since COVID, we keep people outside the clinic. We only allow the family member in for a short period of time and out. And this way we're able to control. We test everybody for, flu, COVID, whatever, and it's a lot more controlled than when you're in a large hospital and you literally have 500 people around you and everybody wants to be seen. So in between operations, the doctors screen me. So this has become a lot better, the mainstreaming, and we know exactly, especially with the knees. You bring 2 dozen knees with you, but you don't know how many rights, how many lefts. They Everything is like in this country, when you go for an operation, Lisa goes for an operation, Lisa needs her right knee done. Lisa has A, B, and C problem. Well, the hospital can do that because they go to the room and they go to the storage and they pull everything for Lisa. We're in a third world country. We're in a clinic. So now we know what he needs or she needs to bring for a particular operation, and we're much more prepared. We are literally a mobile mass unit. Unfortunately, in the past, we used to be able to carry stuff in a different way, and now we literally have to get everything into a 30-inch duffel bag or a suitcase. That's it. So every single member takes 2 pieces of cargo. We have them take their backpack and put all their clothes, whatever scrubs, and then they can take the carry-on. But everything else, we're literally, if you watch the movie MASH, that's us.
And communication has also gotten better because for instance, just to piggyback on the orthopedic side of it, we are now able to receive the x-rays of the people who we have triaged. So our orthopedic surgeons now understand, is it a left knee, right knee? And the other beautiful thing is we have been able to, with the orthopedists' help, access companies who are donating all those orthotics.
I was going to ask you
And I
about
And
mean,
that's
that.
about a quarter of a million dollars
yeah, $1 million
just
worth
a quarter
or
of a million
more.
dollars and about $50,000 of cement.
So they have the measurements and they have that, but there's still some alterations that they need to do when the patient is on the table. And all of our surgeons are magicians. They're just amazing people who have lived up to our motto, which is MMF, maintain maximum flexibility. So what you think you're going to be seeing and doing is not always what you see or do. And the flexibility and the knowledge and the professionalism that's demonstrated by everyone, whether they're medical or non-medical, is just phenomenal and impressive. The other thing, too, that's special about Blanca's House is that we're also a teaching nonprofit. So we invite medical students, residents, physician assistant students, CRNA students who are SRNAs to receive clinical practice before they are officially an official member of the medical community. So all of us that go, including the doctors and nurses, they know, or they in their hearts, they are also teachers. And the experience that our students get is phenomenal. And one other thing, I don't know if I'm kind of getting off task, but another special program that we do have is the Junior Volunteer Program. So those 14 to 18-year-olds who are interested in the field of medicine actually get to go in and observe in surgery and to do what they can, learn how to take blood pressure, listen through the stethoscope, and see if it's really what they want to do. And we're so proud because so many of them have gone on to be doctors, nurses, nurse anesthetists, physician assistants, and I wish I knew how many, but I just needed to add that because that's what makes Blanca's House special as well.
That is awesome. Now, does Blanca's house pay for everybody to go on these missions?
Nope. We
No.
all pay our own way. Valerie, Gallo, myself, every single person pays their own way. And if they can't afford to write their own check, we offered on our website to be able to anybody to donate for each team member, tax exempt. And they're able to donate $5, 500, whatever they can afford to help out that team member. And sometimes our doctors have been able to, if they can financially help out, sometimes they're nurses or nursing students, but we are truly a 100% not-for-profit that is very unique.
So then, if someone was so gracious and wanted to donate to someone's mission, how would they be able to do that?
Very easy.
It's very easy. On our website, there's a tab that says support a volunteer. And we offer each volunteer who registers the opportunity to provide a short bio and a photo and why it's important for them to come with us to Blanca's house. They then get their own little website page that they can share with whomever they need to, family, friends, colleagues, and then the donations come in, and then those donations are subtracted from the total cost for them for the mission.
So we will put it in the show notes, but where would they go? What is the website address?
blancashouse.org.
Oh, that's nice. That's easy to remember. Thank you. So now I understand that you have built a clinic in Ecuador. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about?
How it came about is when Gallo's parents were still on this earth, he was very generous and he purchased the home for them. And it's a little different than here in the States. So upstairs, he has his cousin's apartment. On the lower level, he had like a little storefront, and there's a school nearby. So they would do making copies or buying pens or whatever they needed. So Gallo felt that the need was there. So first we started as a clinic, and we changed over the storefront to a clinic. And then we just kept expanding and expanding the clinic and running out of space. And which is pretty amazing. Before COVID, we wanted to expand and be able to have true operating rooms and pre-op and post-op and just be like in the United States, but a smaller version, like a boutique hospital. And money we raised was amazing, but even in Ecuador, it was not enough. During, unfortunately, COVID and their country shut down like the rest of us, they were so desperate to make money that we were able to help out the local community by them doing the work with the money that we raised. We were able to actually push walls back, raise up the roof, change doors, change windows, build the operating rooms, the electric, the plumbing, everything that you can imagine to go into somewhere. We had to raise extra money for the autoclaves for like our knees. They need special autoclaves because the trays are enormous. An autoclave is something that looks like a metal box that you put all the instruments in to sterilize between operations. We had to get 2 of those donated. These things look like giant, if you can picture 2 giant refrigerators in width and in height. So we have been raising money and raising money and raising money and raising money. But we are now a 100% certified hospital. So when we are not full, we do have doctors that come in on a scale of people can afford, and we'll pay the local doctors and the nurses that are on staff, and they get treated when we come. It is 100% free. But it's just amazing what we have done. And as I said, Mom's spirit is there because we were there one day on Mother's Day, and my God, could we feel his mom being there, smiling and so proud of all of us being there on Mother's Day in her house and taking care of her community.
We were so lucky because during the 2 years that we weren't able to travel with volunteers or mission groups, we raised over $250,000 to create that hospital. So they are almost the standards of the United States. We have towers, we've got beds, we've got all of the anesthesia equipment. Before one OR was as big as a closet, and things were getting done, but not with massive space. So we have 2 ORs now that are absolutely wonderful. We have a 4-bed recovery room, and we were able to build a third floor.
Wow.
So now the third floor is for our patients that stay overnight. And again, there's 4 beds over there. So we can accommodate up to 10 people who need to stay overnight and be monitored prior to their discharge.
That is
It was
absolutely amazing.
just, yeah. And to see the transformation from where we were almost 17 years ago to now, it's just incredible.
That is absolutely amazing. So now how do you put together a team for these missions?
It's real easy. Most of our teams now come to us word of mouth because we've been such an institution basically on Long Island and affiliated with 3 or 4 hospitals. And at each one of those hospitals, there have been staff members who have joined us on missions before, and the word gets out. Hey, you need to go with Blanca's house. They do amazing work in Ecuador. So people come to us, a lot of them. The doctors come to us. Just recently, I had 3 doctors with me on a medical outreach clinic. One lived in Utah, one lived in Seattle, and the other one lived in New Orleans. And they found out about Blanca's house. And so they came together as a group, and we worked in Pedro Carbo and did see like 247 patients in 2.5 days.
That's amazing.
So, like I said, they come to us more than we go out and solicit volunteers.
They find us on websites. A lot of
Yeah.
students was on the websites, doctors, nurses who want to give back, and they put in the word missions, and then they read up about Blanca's house, and then they chat with us. And as Valerie said, it starts with our doctors. The doctor says, I want to go. We say when. Minus the summer's like the only time we don't go because it's ridiculously expensive. So that's the only time for the summer. Other than that, July and August, we don't go for that reason. But they'll say they want to go in May. We're like, great. What's your date? We get the date, and we tell them. Then we always do an overnight flight. Usually now we can go in the afternoon if they choose to. We only take direct flights, and then we just make a mission, and we post it on our website. Especially on a larger mission when it's like 30 to 60 people, which we have taken without a problem. And we just look for doctors and nurses and staff and volunteers and non-medical, and we put together a mission, and we just fill in the boxes like on a chart, doctor, nurse, anesthesia, whatever it is, and you literally fill out the grid and how many you need for each. And because you don't want people to be bored. You don't want to take 10 nurses if there's only enough work for 5. You want everybody to be able to help. So we really try to keep everybody. And also with that, we work 12 to 14-hour days. So if it's somebody that can't stand on their feet or put in day after day after day without a lot of sleep, we do let them know that this is not a vacation. This is work. So if you want a vacation, it's not coming to Blanca's house. We are going to work you from the second you get on that plane at JFK or wherever you're going to meet us up in Ecuador and until you leave. After that, you can go on any vacation because you will need one. But yeah, it is not a vacation. We definitely work you like a dog. And none of us it's kind of weird, but none of us ever feel tired because the adrenaline is pumping and you see these faces. And I've already had time, how many Valerie and I both had, where the community is so very poor. And they'll come in a whole bag of like little things that they'll sell that are worth maybe 50 cents. They want to give it to all of us as a thank you because they have no money. They hugs and kisses and they'll bring us fresh fruit or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, then like, no, we can't take it. So now I've learned I don't insult them. I take it. I say thank you. I open up my pocket. I always have cash on me and I slip it in their pocket and I pay them for their little tchotchkes, their little things. And, but they literally cannot believe that we come to help them. It's like, but what do you want? Like, but what do you want? Like, no, 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 we're here to help you. Like, no, 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 like, no, it can't be free. Like, even going back to, let's step back to what we do here in the States. When we do a Thanksgiving, we fed over 350 people here on Long Island. Coats, food. In June for Gallo's mom's birthday, Blanca celebration last Saturday in June in our parking lot at 33 Woolwoman Road in Huntington Station. We do that twice a year. We do it in June and we do it in Thanksgiving. We literally will say free food, free clothes. Now, how much is it? I'm like, in English and in Spanish, we will say free food, no, but how much is it? Really? Really? How much is it? I'm like, it's free. Like, people, even here in the States, not just overseas, can believe that we are trying to help them for free. We're just so happy to help them. So it's just so rewarding to see faces. It's no different here on Long Island, as we do, overseas. It's wonderful.
That's incredible.
Oh, in addition to Excel being our friend, social media has helped quite a bit too. Facebook, our audiences on Facebook and on Instagram has expanded exponentially over the years. We've become a little bit more sophisticated on how we get the message out. I try.
Valerie's in
and-
charge of that.
Yeah. And so, you can promote blancashouse.org on Facebook as a nonprofit as well as on Instagram. The other thing, too, is when we do work in Ecuador, we have our affiliate nonprofit, which is Fundación Blanca's House Ecuador. So the foundation helps to run our hospital as well and works with us as we provide our services during a medical mission. So
That's incredible. So can you tell us what initiatives do you have planned here on Long Island for 2025? And if people want to get involved, donate, volunteer, how can they do so?
on our website, again, we take all of the people that are interested can email info@blancashouse.com. And on every single page on the website, it says donate. And so there's a few ways to donate. There's PayPal Giving Fund, where there's no charge. It's especially for nonprofits and charities where they can donate and nothing is added as a service charge. They can also do an electronic funds transfer, which is also on the website on how to do that. And our newest financial friend has been Venmo. And so that is also on the website with a QR code.
Or the old-fashioned way, just send me a check and I'll be happy to deposit it.
And the address is also on the website.
And what about volunteer opportunities?
Oh, we can always use volunteers in our office. I mean, it's a small room, my little 7x7 room. Actually, Lisa has come and visited more than once, so she knows my little room there. And it's even smaller now with the amount of supplies around me, so my chair barely fits. We can always use office help. We can always use for our Thanksgiving feast, for our June festival, for our adoptive family. We do a Super Bowl. So we're always in need of people spreading the word, helping us. We also do a toy drive. We just gave away over 80 toys at a church in Uniondale that we also feed and clothe on Thanksgiving. So there's a constant need, a constant looking for new people to help and to volunteer, or to just even if eventually they want to come on a mission and raise the funds, and we would love to see them come on a mission. And you don't have to have any medical background, because I'm a real estate broker 30 years with no medical background. But you can push a wheelchair, you could just take a chart to a patient, or you can just make someone smile, or, it's
You can hold a hand.
right. There's plenty to do. Valerie and I both do not have a medical background whatsoever. But it's amazing what you can do on a medical mission, and just the giving back. It's like when you see the smiles on their faces, and when we get junior volunteers, some decide eventually to get into medicine, some decide to do other philanthropic work. And I always say, you know what? If we put a light under them and they do good on this earth, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. I'm just so happy they do something to help out somebody. As the old saying goes, everybody just did something in the world, we'd have such a better place.
That is true. Oh, before we wrap up, is there one particular person or patient or story that is stuck in your hearts that you would like to share with us?
I have one that I can think of. Her name was Fanny, and we were in Machala, which is in the southern part of the country, and at the military hospital in another town. And I remember I happened to walk by while Gallo was explaining to her in Spanish that if we were to do surgery on her knee, it would make her knee worse. So I walked by at the wrong time because he said, Valerie, talk to her. So he gets up, I sit down. So there I am talking to her in Spanish and holding her hand and explaining to her again, um, in a more emotional way, I guess, than Gallo did, about about sometimes things don't work out the way you want to. And we both cried, and her husband was there. And so we hugged and we asked her to come. Well, our physical therapist asked if she would come back tomorrow, the next day. And she said she'd try. So the next day she came back with her daughter. And for Frank, who was the PT, they brought him a huge watermelon because he had presented her with a new cane with butterflies on it. And she just absolutely loved it. And then for me, we hugged again, and her daughter reached into her pocket and handed me a little box. And I opened it, and it was a pair of pearl earrings, which, then I just started crying and crying and crying, and we hugged some more. And and I've got goosebumps now, but you just don't even realize the impact you have when you can't do surgery, when you spend time with someone who who respects you, understands what you're saying. And Gallo told me something once too. He said, people come not necessarily because they need help or want help or have something that is extraordinarily complex, but they want to be touched by an American doctor. They just want to hear what an American doctor has to say or a non-medical person has to say. And just being able to touch someone's heart and soul, mostly in a wonderful way, but sometimes in a disappointing way, makes it all worthwhile.
That's beautiful. Well, you have definitely filled my heart and soul this afternoon. I
Well,
greatly appreciate you sharing your stories with me. And I am sure that our community would love to hear them also. So we will have this up soon for everyone to watch. And I have a question that I ask everybody before we end, which is from a community standpoint, how do you believe we as individuals and as a nation can make America healthy again? What role do you think organizations like Blanca's House can play in leading that change?
I know what change is needed, but I don't know how much we can do to do that. The only thing I can think of, and I don't know, you could probably answer this better, Robin, is when people come to us for our celebrations, do they also know what we provide as well and ask for help or where they can go for help if they're having some medical issues or some concerns socially or, with their emotional health or things like that? I don't know. I'm not in New York.
And every year for Thanksgiving, and I deliver his food, and he's been taken care of up in Huntington Station. Like, I think he's got 1 or 2 left of his family. They were in their upper 90s. And every year he asks me for a bicycle. And every year I've been trying to get a bicycle, and I keep going after people because he said it would help him to get around. And, of course, I always deliver the food, and he loves his goodies, and he's always looking for a 3X sweaters or jackets. And I'm like, certain people just touch your heart that, you see year after year, or do come to, the Thanksgiving, and they come early because they need a coat, and they thank me for a coat. And then 2 years later, oh, I need a sweater, and they come. So it's just amazing. It really is. And we have helped out. We've had communities help in the some of the local restaurants and people who don't have a lot of money, and they've needed surgeries. And I actually had to reach out to one of the doctors that I know, because part of his business, he has to give back a certain percentage a year to the community for free or barely free. And I was able actually to get a surgery done here on Long Island for him.
Really?
And on Long Island, it was like,
Wow.
try to connect the dots, but, it's not that easy. But sometimes, you could just make a few phone calls, and if you find out things, you're able to help out people. But I have the same people, I have to say, are now coming. We advertise now December for June, June for December, and they come back and they're so excited. And unfortunately, with the need from last year to this, it went up like a third. From like last year to this, I call all the people back, and they go, last year would be 1 or 2 people will be coming. Okay, put me down, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, 1 or 2 people. This year was 5, 7, 9, 10 people to that family. So we literally went last year in Huntington Station and 2 years ago, barely fed 100. Last year, we ran out of food at 100 halfway through. This year, we had food for 250 people, and we still ran out.
Oh my.
And that was in one location. It's just the need because of the cost, and we could just hope that in 2025, the world is going to get better and that the costs are going to come down, because people cannot afford just the basics, eggs, milk, and bread anymore. And they come to us just to, get extra help.
And, I might sound a little Pollyanna-ish, but if we want to help, the word kindness enters my mind. And if everybody that surrounds us can do something kind for one person each day, each week, it will have an incredible impact on how the world is looked at. I mean, that's what Blanca's house is all about. It's not just about the surgery. It's not just about the feeding people. It's being kind and looking for those smiles and those thank yous, even though we don't want thank yous. That's what we love doing. It's that old cliche, spreading kindness and spreading confetti kindness like confetti is all we could ask for from everybody. And
That is absolutely lovely. What a beautiful note to wind up on. Ladies, you have just filled my soul this afternoon. I am
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes,
so
thank you.
happy that we got to share this time together. I
Absolutely.
hope you'll come back and keep us up to date on all of your projects
Absolutely.
and your programs.
We can schedule speech engagements as well. We are the PR team as well. So
Okay,
just
maybe
visit
we
us on
can,
Blanca's house. Yep, blancashouse.org, and they'll see what we're up to.
Okay, maybe we'll run a live with some Q&As. That might be a good way to get some more
About
people
that?
involved.
I love that idea.
Okay,
Sounds
so
great.
that's our resolution for 2025.
Perfect.
Okay.
I wish you guys love and light, and we will see each other again soon. Thank you
Absolutely.
so
Have
very,
a happy
very
and
much.
healthy new year. Take
And
care,
happy
guys.
holidays.
too.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Okay, bye,
you.
Pizza.
Bye-bye.